I think you all know I'm John Duty, and I want to welcome you to the first annual Gold Stock Analyst Investor Day. We're featuring today all 10 of our top 10 gold stocks and 4 of the favorite 5 silver stocks, which is a terrific turnout, we think. And for the missing Fave 5, we've got a great fill-in, a company we've known for a long time and made a lot of money on the previous related company, and that's the Solitario Royalty and Exploration is going to fill in the afternoon. They're not top 10 yet, but they could be at some point in time. Before I start with a little housekeeping, I want to say thanks to the companies, and thank you to the subscribers for coming. It's a real tough time to be in the gold market, and it's a tribute to your enthusiasm for, I guess, our publications, but also the medal that you've come. And we thank the companies for taking time out of their schedule to come and join us too. The Gold Stock Analyst publications, of which you know we have 3, Gold Stock Pro, GSA Top 10, and GSA Silver. It's now called Silver Stock Analyst, but we're renaming it. We're going through a rebranding, like International Business became IBM, so we're going to be Gold Stock Analyst, is going to become GSA. But the combination subscriptions of all 3 publications is a 5-digit number, over 10,000, and we're happy that we've got at least 1% of that number here today in the audience, and we thank you very much for coming. We did a survey last fall, many of you may have answered it, and we had over 600 people say that they would come. And that was a 6% response. And so I guess the fact that we got 1% instead of 6% is really sort of a testimony to how tough the market is right now. And, but that may be the opportunity. Garrett's going to talk. We're going to end the coffee break, the first coffee break early. Garrett's going to talk about some of the technical indicators that give some hope that the end may be near. The light at the end of the tunnel may be bearing down on us. But before we get started today with our first speaker, let me just give you a little bit of housekeeping kind of stuff. Garrett Goggin is our associate editor. I don't know, is he here in the room? Garrett's way up back. If you would stand, Garrett, please. Garrett's going to be taking over the introduction for me. Garrett's an MBA from Babson in finance and does a lot of the writing. Whenever you see a report that's got GG at the end of it, that's something Garrett wrote. Our web guy is Doug Noble. He's back at the AV station now. Doug runs the website if you've got problems, or he also heads customer service. If there's any issues, Doug's the guy to deal with. The ladies you met outside, that's basically our marketing department, our telemarketing. If you let your subscription lapse, you'll be hearing from either Jocelyn or Sabrina, and reminding you how important it is to keep it going. And we've got Jennifer, Garrett's wife, is here helping out too. So that's the team, and I want to point out everybody should have a black GSA bag. In that is a cap. Very good for the sun here. It's a sunny day. There's a book. Jim Rickards is going to be our lunchtime speaker. Currency Wars. You couldn't imagine a more topical topic than this. This is, you watch any of the business channels, all they talk about is currency wars, and the war, of course, was started by Japan. Been basically adopting very loose monetary policies, and they devalued versus the dollar about 17%. So this book is actually pretty easy reading. You could read it on the beach, and so if you head to the beach tomorrow, bring it along with you. And it's not, well, it's an economic topic. It's an easy read economic topic. It's more economic history than it is economic theory. I recommend it highly. And there's a brochure where we put together our latest report on all the companies presenting. And this is not to say that this is the most current information, because as you know, it takes 5 issues to go through the rotation of the stocks. And so some of these companies in here, the report is 5 months old. but it'll give you an idea about what's going on at the company, and you can make notes in this. There's a pen in your black bag too to make notes and help you follow along. And some of the companies will talk about their various deposits, and here you've got a rundown thumbnail in each of the company's activities. And in that form, we're recording today, and there's a special half price offer for people who want to get a copy of today's proceedings. It's going to be a 3 or 4 DVD set, and also available online by streaming. You can take it either way, and in order to get the special half price offer, you have to sign up here. If you mail it in tomorrow, it ain't going to come. So the format today is basically, you've got in the GSA brochure, you've got the order of the speakers. The format is basically 20 minutes of talking, 5 minutes for Q&A, and then we'll go on to the next one. So if you've got some questions about the company, that this is the time to ask it. If there's extra time needed for questions, then the questions can take place outside the auditorium and outside in the foyer. We're Kitco, you all know Kitco, the information source site for gold. They're here, and Danielle Camboni is going to be interviewing most of the speakers, and those interviews will run through the next week on their website. We've got a long day. We end at 5:30. There's a couple-hour cocktail party. The luncheon buffet is going to set up outside here on the terrace outside that overlooks the marina. The big boat that you can see, there's a couple of boats over, but part of this marina is Steven Spielberg's 280-foot 7 Seas. The big boat over here that's on the other side of the bridge is a 250-footer named Cakewalk. Fort Lauderdale is the yachting capital of at least the East Coast, if not of all of America. So anyway, the cocktails will be probably needed by all of us, certainly me, at 5:30 to 7:30, and we'll look forward to chatting with you in more detail then. So if we could have Mike Lalonde, our first speaker. Mike is the new president of Rubicon. Rubicon's deposit is just north of Goldcorp's Red Lake and Campbell mines. And if there was anybody that you would want to hire to take over Rubicon, Mike would be the guy. He's Mr. Underground, or was Mr. Underground, mining for Goldcorp, and he ran the Red Lake mine, and there's nobody who knows the geology better than of the Red Lake camp than Mike. And I'm really excited that he came to join Rubicon and get them into production. And Rubicon's selling around $2 now, and our target's $6. So there's a tremendous buying opportunity here. So, Mike, thank you.
Thank you very much, John, and thanks everybody for being here today. We'll just get through the disclaimers. I've got to work on those lawyers to get it cut down to 1 page. We think Rubicon is a good investment opportunity for three primary reasons. One, it's a high-grade deposit in a high-grade camp. 2, we've got experienced management. And 3, it's low risk, and the risk is getting lower every day as we build towards production. This is a claim map showing our holdings in the Red Lake area. Here we have the Red Lake gold mines, which comprises the Red Lake mine and the Campbell mine. You'll note this feature here. These are called the F2 folds, and the only reason for F2 is second generation. But it's on these folds that we have a series of linear faults along the axis of the folds. Those are the channels by which gold was deposited in the Red Lake camp. And the gold was deposited at Phoenix along these channels exactly the same way as it was at Red Lake, and exactly the same time geologically. Here we have our Phoenix project, Goldcorp's Koshner project. We also have several other properties in the area. Our Adams Lake property is right on the nose of the fold, as is the Red Lake mine, and we'd like to drill that sometime in the future. We have the DMC property and our Slate Bay property up here. And in general, we've got about 40% of the holdings in the Red Lake area. They're the claims outlined in the yellow. The next slide, we've got a depiction of our resource. The gold is the more tightly drill indicated resource, and the blue is more loosely defined. It's the inferred resource. In summary, we've got 500,000 ounces at 14.5 grams in the drill indicated, and 2.3 million ounces at 17 grams in the inferred category. Now, we've been drilling primarily in this area here to bring more material from the inferred resource to the drill indicated. And that's going to give us more confidence in the deposit before we start mining. We've also been doing step-out drilling in these areas here, where we have the drill indicated. But about 80% of the drilling is more tightly drilled for increasing the drill indicated, and about 20% is step-out drilling. So 100,000 meters in total have been drilled and will be added to the new resource by the end of March. Here we have a number of gold projects in development. The Phoenix deposit is shown on the right. Our grade is fairly comparable to Bruce Jack and a little higher than Cerro Negro. The F2 deposit at Phoenix is an Archean low gold deposit, and the important thing to note about these type of deposits is, unlike epithermal deposits, they're normally very deep. Often they go to 3,000 meters or more. And also, because they're narrow and very deep, it's very difficult to know the full extent of the resource over the life of mine at the onset. It usually takes several years into the production stage, sometimes several decades, before you know the true value of the deposit. Some mines, as an example, in the Red Lake camp, are the Campbell and the Red Lake mine are Archean gold deposits. In Timmins, we have the Hollinger, the McIntyre, the Hoyle Pond, and the Kirkland Lake, we had the Lakeshore deposit. Now, the next slide will illustrate the point. Campbell mine was discovered in the late 40s and started development in 48, came into production around 1950. At the time the production decision was made at Campbell, they had roughly 200,000 ounces of reserve. That's what they started. After 35 years of production, they brought that reserve up to 1.5 million ounces. That's right at this point here. And this, I would say, is probably a conversion of the resource because of the higher price of gold circa 1980. Somebody just changed the price of the books and brought the reserve up. But the important thing to note is that in 2006, where this graph ends, that's when Goldcorp purchased the Campbell mine along with the rest of the Placer Dome assets. At that time, this mine was started up at 200,000 ounces, produced 11 million. Just a bit of an overview on the preliminary economic assessment done in 2011 on the Phoenix deposit. If you look at today's prices around $1,500, you wind up with a 48% rate of return, a payback of 2 years, and a cumulative cash flow of about $1.5 billion. Mine life is 12 years with a capex of $214 million, an OPEX of $519 an ounce, roughly 14 grams a ton, and a recovery of 92.5%. One thing to note about the recovery on the Phoenix ore, unlike other ores in the area, it is non-refractory. That means it does not have to go through a flotation process. It doesn't have to go through a pressure oxidizing process called autoclaving. It's simply, the ore simply has to be crushed and ground. 50% of the gold is taken out as a gravity concentrate, and the remaining gold goes through a carbon and leach process. This is where our finances stood at the end of the year. We had $171 million in the bank, and after you subtract liabilities, it was $157 million. To date, $85 million has been spent on the project. $62 million of that was contemplated in the 2011 PEA. Another $23 million was other necessary work required to build the project that was not contemplated in the PEA. There's a number of things that we're looking at to improve the operational efficiency at the Phoenix. One is to switch to long hole stoping rather than conventional cut and fill. It's simply a more productive method, and the importance is not only lower cost, but it's more efficient and allows us to produce more tons. The second thing we're looking at is spacing the levels in the shaft further apart to 120 meters. But we're also going to be adding a ramp in between levels, and this is a very necessary thing so that we can move people, equipment, and materials from level to level. Otherwise, we'd be tying up valuable hoisting time with the hoisting plant, moving people and materials around. As far as equipment, we're going to get away from rail-mounted, air-operated equipment. It simply does not have the efficiencies needed to sustain high tonnages. We're going to be going to more conventional modern equipment, load haul dumps, low profile front end loaders for some, and rubber tired haul trucks. We'll still have a haulage level, but we'll look at putting one single haulage level down at the bottom of the mine, and in between there and the upper mine we'll have ore passes, which are basically vertical tunnels that allow us to drop the ore from point A to point B. I love gravity, it works for free. And the other thing, of course, is we're looking at deepening the shaft further. We're at the 610 level right now, and we want to get that shaft a little deeper to support more production areas and to allow us to get down deeper to do some deep drilling and take advantage of those high-grade intercepts that we had. It'd be nice to get more results released just at about the point that we're ready to go into production when we're at a bargain basement price before the hawks swoop in. This is what the timelines look like. Right now we have our shaft down at the 610 meter level. The updated resource will be out at the end of March. The optimization will be out in the second quarter. SAG mill, the ball mill, and other major items will be delivered in July. Mill construction will continue on to mid-2014. In April 2014, we expect the construction to be finished. That'll allow us 2 months for testing and running through some development material through the mill to test it out, and then we'll be ready for production in the second half of 2014. This is the Phoenix site in November. We've actually built quite a bit since then. But you'll see the hoist room in the background and the head frame. Here's a blow up of the hoist. It's quite a large hoisting plant, 2,500 horsepower, 14-foot diameter hoist, We've got a tremendous capacity for hoisting. Up here is the tailings management facility, and here we have the mill foundations being poured. The next slide, we have the workings at the Phoenix deposit. In the upper end are the historic workings that the previous operator had developed. Down here we have the development that Rubicon did up until the end of June of 2012. And from 305 level, we've sunk down to the 610 at the present time, and we're still in the process of sinking. Here we have a shot taken in January showing the construction of the mill. That first building on the right is the carbon and leach building. That's where the gold is actually going to be absorbed from the ground pulp and transferred to the carbon. Off to the left will be the main mill building, which will house the grinding circuit, reagents, and the gravity circuit. That's already started to be erected, and if you look on our webpage, there's a more updated photo showing some of that building up and at least the framework in place. Just by way of introduction, I've got over 35 years of mining experience. I've been around a little longer than I care to admit. Anyway, I've been involved in gold mining since '86, and I have over 20 years of operations management and project experience in gold. And several of those years were spent in narrow vein, high grade deposits just like the Phoenix. I managed the Franklin, Nevada mine down at Midas. I think it's called the Midas mine now. When I was there, it was called the Ken Snyder mine. I also managed the Marlin mine down in Guatemala, brought it into production. And from there I was transferred to Red Lake to manage the two mines in Red Lake, Campbell and Red Lake for Gold Corp, which I did for 3 years. I was also involved in the startup of the Koshner project at the same time. And then after that I was on to worldwide underground projects for Gold Corp prior to joining Rubicon. I saw a great opportunity at Rubicon. I saw a deposit that was underappreciated for what it was, and more importantly, I saw, when I looked at the original PEA, I saw lots of opportunity for improvement on the operations end. I'm an operator, not a promoter. I build them and I operate them. And we've got a good team with us. Dan Levine was recently hired in just this January from Gold Corp. He was my project manager at Koshner, and I tell you, Dan did a hell of a job for me there. I basically handed him a basket case when I gave him Koshner, and he really turned it around and got it on track. I can tell you in 2012, when Dan left Koshner, the project was on time and on budget. As a matter of fact, the tunnel he was driving from Campbell to the Koshner mine was 30% ahead on advance rate compared to budget. We also have a mine manager on site by the name of John McDonald. We don't have a slide here. He's got over 30 years experience too. So just on the front end, on the build it and operating, there's only over 100 years experience for the three people. We have Matt Wunder as our VP of Exploration. He's also got over 25 years of experience. As far as risk, we're in a politically safe jurisdiction. We're not in Argentina, we're not in the Dominican Republic. We're fully permitted to production. There's a substantial amount of infrastructure in place. We've got line power from Red Lake, 44,000 volt line, an all-weather road. We've got a camp on site. administration offices, etc. Got a strong record of consultations with First Nations communities and the community of Red Lake at large, and we're well funded relative to our peers. As far as First Nations, we've got good relations with Lac Sioux and the Métis Nation of Northern Ontario. Lac Sioux, I should point out, is the larger of the two First Nations in the area. They have about 80 to 90% of all First Nations people in the area. The other reserve, of course, is Wabascang. They're the smaller of the two reserves, and they're the ones that have been causing the saber rattle. You all heard about the lawsuit in December. The lawsuit required that an affidavit be filed with supporting documentation for the case. Wabascang's basically suing us because they feel we shouldn't have been granted a production permit, and they're suing the government because they're saying the government of Ontario doesn't have the authority to grant mining permits. They had to support required documentation on January 21st. To this date, they have submitted nothing. We've also retained Tom Isaac, who's the #1 Aboriginal lawyer in Canada. He also represents the province and Goldcorp in the Kuwaitan dispute. And he was the #1 guy that we could get that knew all the issues in the area, and he could hit the ground running. Here's where we are right now, folks. We're right here in the construction period. And unfortunately, you don't get any premium when you're in the construction period. You get all that excitement with the first couple of good intersections, and then the stock goes up as the resource increases. And then as you keep drilling the market and go into construction, the market yawns. You get into the construction phase itself, and you take a beating. Everybody waits to see the proof in the pudding. So we're at the bottom of the Lassonde curve. I prefer to call it the Lalonde curve. But that's where we are. And 2014 is coming. So this is what our market cap looks like. Roughly 300 million shares on a fully diluted basis. And that's about $640 million present time. I'd like to leave you with three thoughts. One, we're a high-grade deposit and a high-grade camp, and nothing beats grade. Two, we've got an experienced team to build this and manage it. And three, we're low risk. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for Mike? In the front row here.
Yes, sir.
Mike, what percentage, it's probably in here, is owned by you and operating people, if I could ask, please?
I'm afraid I don't understand the question.
What percentage of the shares is owned by management, key management?
I couldn't give you an exact percentage off the top of my head. I know David Adamson, our chairman, has 1.5 million shares. There's several directors that are up in 400,000. I think there's about 3 of them up in that range, so there's probably 1.2 there. I bought 100 million about a month ago, or sorry, 100,000. I would guess 3 million.
About 1%.
About 1%.
About 1%, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What's your plan B if the lawsuit is successful?
Well, number one, they haven't even filed an affidavit yet, so there is no lawsuit until there's some supporting evidence to back it up. First off, this lawsuit would require the Kuwaitan case to stand, which is being appealed right now by the government and several other companies as interveners. Goldcorp is one of them. That's where we got the idea of picking up Tom Isaac. But this thing's going to go on. The Kuwaitan case itself, which is the one that's behind the Wabascan case, is going to go on for years. I don't think there'll be a decision on Kuwaitan until probably towards the end of the year. And it doesn't matter which way it's ruled, it'll wind up going to the Supreme Court again. But I don't see where the government of the day is going to give up the right to issue mining permits. It's just not going to happen. Yes, sir.
How long do you expect the $1.5 billion, how long is it going to take to reach that cash number?
Sorry, can you rephrase that?
Well, you said the return's going to be 48%. I mean, it looks like the capital expenditures are a little over $200 million a year. So I assume you get to the big $1.5 billion, 7 years cash flow.
Oh, that was over the life of mine. That was over a 12-year
That's
period.
a 12-year period.
Yeah. That's the old PEA. There's a new PEA coming out. So I'd wait for the new one. First off, we'll have the new resource at the end of March, and then in the second quarter we'll have the full optimization study, and we'll have fresh numbers. Those are the only numbers I've got right now.
How much do you expect to have to raise to get to production from here, and how would you expect to raise it? What type of financing?
Well, first off, I don't have a number yet. We'll have that number with the optimization study in PEA in the second quarter. I'm hoping it's going to be 2 digits, but I can't say for sure until we got that study. As far as raising it, we're looking at non-dilutive means first, rather than straight equity, and there's several ways of doing that. There's straight debt, there's royalties, there's metal streaming, and then there's convertible debt, and of course the worst of all is straight debt. But we'll do everything we can to raise the money without diluting the stock.
Anybody else want?
That's great then, Mike.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Mike, and good luck on the golf